Madeline from Bloom Birth Services, and I wanted to come on today and tell you guys the appropriate way to sit on a ball, birth ball, exercise ball. A lot of women are told to sit on a ball to help alleviate any kind of soreness or pain, help with baby's positioning, and just get better posture in labor or in pregnancy. And birth balls are great, exercise balls, because it does require us to be a little bit more, pay more attention to how our bodies are. But the thing is if we're not being mindful about it, we can actually sit on a birth ball wrong. And so I'm on my ball, and when we sit on it, what can happen is, and I'll turn sideways here, is your baby's sitting in your pelvis, and if you're not being mindful, you can actually tend to do this, sink into it. Gotta be careful not to fall. But you can sink into it, and what this actually does is rocks your hip like this. So this is the way that my hips are sitting now. I'm not being mindful of my posture. I'm kind of hollowing out my back, and everybody's like, great, I'm sitting on a ball, I'm doing what I'm supposed to, I'm bouncing up and down, and this is not doing anything good for your baby, for your pregnant belly. It's actually can actually be worse for your baby, because so your baby's in your stomach, and fetal position, babies have a curved back when they're in their fetal position in the stomach. And especially as you're getting longer, farther along in your pregnancy, they start to run out of room. So babies will find the area of least resistance where their back is not going to be pushed out of that fetal position. So if we are sitting up and being mindful of our posture, babies in the front, this is where they would sit in there, because their back is going to be curved into your belly. So if we're doing this, rocking our hips, and then we kind of created a nice rocked space, because now your sacrum's turned down and your spine's hollowed out, your baby's going to kind of be like, oh, this is a good spot to be. And then they go into that posterior back to back. And this is no fun for back pain or for when you go into labor, because a baby has to be in a good position, so the left side or to the front, in order to come out of the birth canal. And so being mindful when you're sitting, hollowing out your back, or straightening out your back, because what that does is your spine's curved, and if baby's back is against your back, that's pushing on baby's back to straighten out, and they don't like that. So they're going to find a way to get away from that, because they want their back to be curved out. So being mindful when you're sitting on the ball, if you have it at work or at home and you're sitting and watching TV or whenever you sit on it, to not let yourself sink into it. Your belly button's actually a really good indicator of how you're sitting. Imagine there's a flashlight attached to it. It should not be going up to the wall or up to the ceiling. Your belly button should be pointing straight or at the floor. So even kind of leaning forward is going to help. And people will tell you, oh, bounce on the ball, because this is a good thing for baby to engage. Not really. All that's doing is just making your pelvis go up and down. If baby is in there a little wonky, hasn't engaged the pelvis, bouncing up and down is doing nothing. Kind of just like with walking. Walking is doing this with your pelvis. If you're wanting baby to get into your pelvis better, sink in there, you're going to have to get uneven pelvis movement. And so actually doing stuff like this, where you're getting your pelvis to rock, is going to be more than this. And so I tell my clients really exaggerated hip circles, so that you can really you're kind of wanting to push your hip up towards the ceiling to really get that optimum movement. So, and especially with walking, if you're going to go walk, just walking like this isn't going to get baby down in that pelvis. Go and find a curb, put one foot on the curb and one foot off, and walk like that, because what you're doing is this, and then turn around, put the other foot up on the curb and walk, because it's getting that uneven hip distribution and kind of shimmies baby down into that hip or that birth canal. But so just to be mindful about your posture, make sure your back is not curved in, you're not sitting, being mindful of where your belly button's pointing. Have a nice up, curved back, and if you're wanting to get baby into a good position, be rocking your hips, getting uneven, not just bouncing up and down. So that's my tips for today about using a birth ball for pregnancy and labor. I guess didn't really touch on labor, but in labor, sitting on a ball is nice. It does require a little bit of focus because when mom should be relaxed, she's focusing on not letting this thing roll away from her. So if you're in labor and want to be on the ball, because it does relieve a little bit of perineum pressure, especially if baby is low, make sure that your doula or your partner is around to be able to support you, or that you're leaning up against a bed and really leaning and then working through those contractions. So rolling your hips, and that's a really good way because now we're giving that baby optimum space because your pelvis is basically like this. If your baby's in there, now they're able to rotate. You can roll with your contractions and just really help facilitate your birth process. Can't really give birth on a ball because you have this protruding in your way. That's why I really like my cub seat. You guys have heard of me talk about it. It looks like a birth stool kind of, so this would basically all be gone. So it looks like a big U that you're sitting on, but then you're supported. I like it for my clients because they don't have this unstableness. They can sit on that thing and just do what they need to do and not worry about controlling, stabilizing themselves. So that's what I wanted to come on and talk about today about birth balls. Remember your posture, where's your belly button, uneven hips, and leaning forward. Okay, guys, have a great day. Bye.